Salute to Service is the year-round effort by the NFL to honor, empower, and connect with our nation's service members, veterans, and their families. The Bears visited naval stations Great Lakes to meet service members and take part in a behind-the-scenes tour of the base. A really incredible moment for the NFL. And joining us from Madrid, Spain, where he's participating in a Salute to Service flag football competition with members of our military at the naval station, Rhoda, it's Ryan Tannehill. Ryan, really appreciate you joining us. This is an amazing initiative. Salute to Service is incredible. Tell everybody what you're doing there.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you guys for having me. So I partnered with USAA to be a part of their NFL Salute to Service flag football experience. So I was able to tour a naval base here in Rota, go on board a ship, get a tour of the ins and outs of everything they had going on there with my family, which was incredible to have them along for the journey. And then we were able to go out and play some flag football. So I had a little bit of a tournament set up, a few teams, came down to the last play of the championship game, and my team was able to come out on top. So, thankful for that. But just a really cool experience that USAA has opened the door for my family and I to get to interact with hundreds of men and women and thank them for their service, be able to kind of step into their daily lives and see what it's like on base here in Rota. So it's an experience that I'll always be grateful for.
That's incredible, and thanks for giving back to the people that give back to us. That's really an amazing initiative. Let's talk a little bit of football, my friend. Obviously, the Dolphins are over in Madrid, set to play the Commanders on Sunday. You know the Dolphins better than anybody from your past. When you look at Mike McDaniel and Tua, how do you fix where the Dolphins are?
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it's been tough for them to get things going. It's been a long year. You look at last week and what they were able to do, coming away with a big win against the Bills. So hopefully they're able to build on that. Pushing into this week. Now they're traveling across the world to come play a game over here in Madrid, which is also really cool to see the game expand. And now we're playing in a new country. So really fun as a fan now to be able to see it happening. Not only in one country, but now we're pushing into Germany and Spain as well, which has been really cool. So hopefully the Dolphins can get back on track. I think it's been a rough season, but something to build on last week, and hopefully they can get another win this week.
Let's stick in the AFC East, obviously division you used to play in Miami, but also your former head coach in Tennessee, Mike Vrabel, now coaching in the AFC East, head coach of the New England Patriots. The Patriots find themselves at 8-2, and one of the best records in the National Football League. From what you know about Vrabel, because you know Vrabel more than anybody out there, are you surprised by how quickly he was able to turn things around in New England?
I'm not surprised. I think Vrabel's a great coach. He does a great job of leading the team each and every week. He has his pillars of his program that he kind of sets out. There's a clear picture of what he wants it to look like, and he holds the players accountable. And he's able to get the players to kind of buy into those pillars, and you kind of see it play out over the course of the season. You'll start, win a game here, win a game there over something you talked about, and once that happens, you start to build traction. And so, not surprised. I think he's done a great job up there so far, and we'll see how they finish down the stretch.
Why do players love Mike so much?
For me, it was the way he led the team. It's because I played for several head coaches over the course of my career, and the consistency at which he stood in front of the room and had a clear vision and direction that the team was going in, that he wanted the team to go in, and he was able to relate to players. I think he sat in those same player seats, so it gives him a little bit of an understanding of what it's like to sit on a player seat more than a lot of guys. But more than anything, it was his ability to set out a clear vision and then hold everyone kind of accountable, from the other coaches to the players and the staff, just making sure that everyone's aligned and on the same page, and there was no disarray throughout the communication lines of what's going on and where we're going.
Is there one story or anecdote about Mike Vrabel that you feel like so perfectly encapsulates what he is like as a head coach and a person?
I don't know of one story. I can think. Well, I can tell you this: anytime that he has a wrinkle and he wants to put it on offense, he'll always mention how many touchdowns he caught, and that one of them was in a Super Bowl. And so, everyone across the organization is going to know exactly how many touchdowns he had and how big a plays he made on the offensive side. He never mentions defense. How many sacks he had. No, it never comes up. It's always, how many passes he caught, playing offense. So I think deep down, I think he's just mad that he didn't play offense for his whole career.
You obviously know the Titans. They got a picture of you here, right? Standing next to Mike with the Titans helmet on. You know that organization so well. What advice would you get to Cam Ward early in his career?
Hang in there. Hang in there. I think, it's been tough for him this year, obviously. When you're the number one pick, the team you're coming into is probably, in a rebuilding phase. So it's not like you're coming into a loaded situation. So just hang in there. He's obviously got drafted number one for a reason. He's got talent. He's flashed that talent at times throughout this year. I think he just needs more pieces around him. So hopefully the organization can do a good job of getting him some protection up front, because I think that's where offensive football starts is up front. If you give him a little bit of time to throw and play quarterback, then he's probably going to be all right.
You also, though, Ryan, you have such a good experience in your life of going from one organization to another to have success, right? And we see that right now in the NFL so much, whether it's with Baker or whether now Daniel Jones. We're flocking to these quarterbacks that are getting a second chance. What is it about some of these guys in their next opportunity that is making them so much more successful than they were in their first?
I think it's a couple things. I think you grow through every experience, right? So whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, if you have the right mindset and the right attitude about it, you can grow from that experience. So if you're able to take everything that you learned in your first stop, grow from it, and move on to another team, another network, then it gives you another opportunity to kind of start fresh. And sometimes it's just a better fit. Like I said, the team might be a little bit better. You might have a better offensive line. The offense might fit your skill set a little bit better. So it could be any of those things, or a combination of those things. So I'm always rooting for guys who are getting a second opportunity and flourishing.
Yeah, it can be such an imperfect science of drafting quarterbacks or putting quarterbacks in positions to succeed, whether it's their first stop or second or third, whatever it might be. But what is one quarterback in the league right now, young or, in the twilight of their careers, that's really exciting you?
Great question. I think there's a lot of guys who are playing good football right now. I would say, Daniel Jones with the Colts right now has had a great year. Just seeing him kind of come with a resurgence and how things ended in New York, and then, a brief stint in Minnesota, and just things that weren't seeming like they were lining up for him. So for him to go to Indy, and, things seem to be kind of aligning for him, and he's really taking advantage of that opportunity. So root for him, and, hoping to see that success continue.
We see quarterbacks with continued success, and it just kind of reminds me you haven't filed your retirement papers, Ryan. We thinking about inching back into you're coming back in. What are we doing, buddy?
No, I think that ship has sailed. I was kind of staying ready over the course of last season. Working out, throwing, and things like that. But just had to be the right call. Had to be the right situation where it was going to be a good fit for me and my family. I was looking for something I could kind of come in and finish the year on a playoff contending team, and just never came up. So wasn't really looking for something to go in and be the starter for 2 or 3 weeks and then kind of be stuck there the rest of the year, which is what was coming in. So it just didn't come up, and I'm at peace with it. I had a lot of fun, a lot of great experiences, met a lot of really great people, some great cities. So thankful for my experience, but I think that ship has sailed.
So now you get to be a fan. You've gotten to be a college football fan.
Yeah.
Your alma mater, Texas A&M, has had such an exciting season. I feel like I've been the world's biggest Texas A&M fan this year. Whoop. What have you noticed from Marcel Reed this year? And what have you noticed from Mike Elko being able to turn this program around and make them a legitimate national championship contender this year?
Yeah, it's been so fun to be a Texas A&M fan this year. We've been on the fringe a couple of times the last few years, but haven't been able to kind of put it together. And this year so far, they've been able to really pull it together. And as a fan, it's a lot of fun to be able to watch. Playing in the SEC is tough, so you got to be on your game week in and week out. And they've been able to do it up to this point. So got to tip your hat to Coach Elko and the A&M whole A&M coaching staff and their players. I think the defense is playing really good football. I think when you have a good defense, and it gives you a lot of chances to win games in the SEC. Quarterback Marcel Reed is playing really well. He's a lot of fun to watch. Casey Concepcion is a great player, super talented. Just get the ball in his hands. So had a lot of fun games so far this year. Some big ones here down the stretch. Of course, finishing with Texas, so that'll be a big one for us. Excited for the Aggies and what they've been able to do so far, and hopefully we can make a run at a championship.
Well, we may not get to see you back on an NFL field, but at least we get to see you around flag football. Come on. Love what you're doing with Salute to Service. It's really incredible for USAA, for you. Look, Caroline and I both spent years in the Nashville media market. We have a lot of people that were your teammates we know you. I just got to say, like, everybody that's ever worked with you has such glowing things to say about you as a person, and it just shines through on what you're doing with Salute to Service, man. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks for all you've done. Thanks for all you'll continue to do. We appreciate you hanging out with us.